Gala Music, thank you for joining us again. As always, apologies in advance. I still can't figure out my camera situation. Paul's going to help me later, so we're going to get this squared away at some point. This is a really great week for me. Yesterday, I chatted with 80 Empire. It was super fun. And today, I could not be more excited to welcome Bronze Whale to this AMA and to the Gala platform. How's it going, guys?
It's great. How are you?
I'm great. So I'm sure you haven't been watching all of the AMAs I've done over the course of Gala Music, but I kind of keep track of the artists who were onboarding. I'm mildly competitive, and I think about it sort of like fantasy teams. And I'm taking credit for Bronze Whale because I'm the one who talked to you guys initially and got this ball rolling. So you're on Team Taco, which for me is which I'm crushing. This is a big deal. I'm a fan. You guys are great.
Thank you.
Audra, if you're watching, sorry, this is a huge win for me. Yeah, this is great. People are already excited. As they should be. You guys have a really cool sound, and we're going to answer some questions for them.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
As per normal, if you guys are watching the stream now, feel free to pop in questions either in the YouTube or in Discord so I can answer guys. Obviously, I have my own questions. Or if you have tips on how to work technology, also terrific, because I'm clearly still struggling. We're going to figure it out. So, I like the idea of Bronze Whale because you're both individually artists. You perform and record on your own, right? You're Soft Jaw and Very Yes,
Correct.
But then you join forces to create Bronze Whale. So I guess to start, it'd be great if you could kind of walk through maybe your individual backgrounds and then why you decided to join forces to make a super team.
Absolutely. Well, so for a little bit of clarity, both Very Yes and Soft Jaw came after Bronze Whale. We both met back in 2011. I was actually kind of taking a hiatus from production and was wanting to be the guy behind the curtain, and started working in a large format recording studio, and then was building it out and needed to get a new computer. So I reached out to Benny because I knew that he was working at Apple at the time to try to get his Apple discount. And so then we met a couple times, became friends. I offered him some production lessons, just like show him how to do like a little remix or a bootleg or something. Yeah, we just really hit it off and became friends. And then as far as like the Very Yes and Soft Jaw stuff, we both just write a lot of music, and some of it doesn't necessarily fit with the sound of Bronze Whale, but some of it if we have an emotional attachment to it, we still want it to see the light of day. So we decided that we needed sort of a place to put some of that stuff as well.
I didn't know that those two music personas developed afterwards. I'm gonna guess the answer is no, because you're both really nice guys. Do you feel competitive at all? Like that you each also have your own lane apart from Bronze Whale? Do you keep track of like who's crushing more?
I don't. I don't know if Benny does. I mean, I think.
I mean, if I was, Aaron's doing a lot better, so I'm gonna say no. So no, I mean, for me, it was just I wanted another lane specifically for vocal stuff because we had other people on our label that wanted me to do vocals for them, and just kind of other projects would pop up here and there. And for the most part, when I do production, I'm gearing it specifically towards this project. And kind of oddly enough, my style of production was born out of Bronze Whale. So learning from Aaron early on, I'm kind of like the product of this style of production as we've grown. And Aaron more had his own flavor and a style of what he was doing before we met. So I'll see him kind of bounce back to those ideas or want to make something more like kind of heavier or more hip hop influenced. And so I think Very Yes was kind of born of that, like, hey, I've got all these songs that I want to have an avenue for that. And then on my side, it was more of a vocal thing of just being like, hey, I need a name to lend to other projects that I'm working on. So
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I love the vocals, by the way. Like the whole vibe of all of it is great. Bronze Whale, I would put under the umbrella of EDM, right? But I'm terrible at it because there's a million subgenres. Is there? How would you classify what Bronze Whale is musically, or is that impossible? Is there a subgenre that it is like?
It's hard, man. I mean, we've been called a number of things by people. When we first started, we were making music right around the time of the beginning of dubstep, and so we had people call us like chill step or love step. And lately, I mean, we kind of pride ourselves in the fact that we can kind of make whatever we want, and our fans don't seem to get like really upset if we flip it on them a little bit. We make a song that's a little bit more like house, or a song that's like a little bit more like hip hop, or like kind of an R&B flavor. And there we've been called recently something called vapor twitch, and I'm not really sure what that is either.
we're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah,
we blanket wide now, so I think just we put everything under indie electronic, but it's changed a lot over the last couple of years. I think we started in the dubstep realm and then kind of moved to like chill trap for a while, and then we're just floating around the idea of electronic music. But now I would say for the first time ever, it has a lot more like R&B influences. The hip hop element has been there the whole time, I think, and Aaron's drum styling has always been him going back to like classic breaks and tearing them apart and putting them back together. So they're similar elements, but for the sake of blogging, every song is us having a conversation of like, can we think of 4 artists this might sound like, because I have to send it to someone under some category. So
yeah, they all require you on Spotify or when you're submitting to your distribution partner. They always have some very, very generic genre, like a checkbox where you got to pick a couple on it, and we struggle with the conversation. I'm like, I don't know. Last time we actually did do some like kind of like indie R&B stuff, and it actually tend to work out for On Fire.
Yeah, I think we ask the same thing for our platform, like for artists to sort of pick a genre, but we only have like 8 that you can choose from. Like
that makes it easy.
Right. Yeah. We can assure you we don't have vapor twitch as an option. We should. I love that. I hadn't heard that. That's one of the best ones I've heard in a while. And I'm going to have to look up like what other artists are under vapor twitch, because that sounds cool.
Apparently it's a thing.
I'm into it. How did you each independently get into music?
You want to lead off, Benny?
Yeah. So I was a band nerd, so I grew up playing trombone and guitar and a couple other instruments. So it was a big part of my history. But getting out of high school, I kind of quit most of it and really hadn't been playing anything in a couple years. And so when I met Aaron, I was already just really itching to get back into that world, and it was kind of popping out in different ways. So I was running some like curated music rooms on a platform called Turntable FM, which is how we ended up meeting each other, and was running like a Tumblr where I was just like blogging to no one and just collecting music. And so initially, even before the co-production started, Aaron was running a music blog. and that was kind of my in with him in that community. So I think the production was just kind of a natural progression. He was already doing it a ton, and I was just so ready to get, back into making music. So,
Do you think that you guys would have joined forces if you didn't have that Apple discount to give him?
I mean, maybe we met on a thing called turntable.fm. And I mean, we talked all the time and shared music and shared ideas. And so, I mean, there was, the conversation was already there that, that I was a music producer and it was something that Benny was interested in. So, it definitely could have happened for sure. I mean, we actually ended up working with most most of the core group of people on that turntable website that would be in the room that Benny had called Danger Beats. And we still work with some of those people today. They that ended up becoming writers of the music blog. Now our label manager was somebody who was involved with that, and it just kind of carried for a long time.
I like that. I like hearing how people come together. I've got some abandoned tumblers out there somewhere.
One angel fire floating in the distance.
Right. That hopefully no one ever like it all lives out there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Guys, don't Google it. That's great. What are some of your musical influences?
Oh man, I mean, that's a tough one. There are just so many. I mean, I was raised with kind of a constant soundtrack of my dad would listen to classical music, primarily classical piano, and a whole lot of kind of 60s psychedelic stuff. And he was really into, the Beatles, and he really was a fan of the Beach Boys as well. My mom was a little bit more like reggae, Sly and the Family Stone, and that kind of got me into ska, and then punk rock, and then hip hop, kind of as a natural progression from there. And then that got me really into drum and bass and stuff. So I mean, there's just so much. Current people, though, I mean, uh, being nerds of the production, we definitely kind of geek out on people who are just, whether or not their music is commercially popular, people that just make stuff that is really makes you go like, how did they do that? Skrillex has always been somebody who, whether or not people love his music, he's probably the best mixing and mastering engineer out there. His sound design is always, making people wonder what's going on. Same with Flume, just to name a few.
Yeah, that's at a level I'm not at. Like, to be able to listen to a song. I can listen to a song and identify certain things about it, like if it, like, whatever level of different or special, or like there's a thing in here I can't describe, but I recognize it's at a certain level. It'd be cool to be at a point where you can listen to a song and like,
it's a blessing and a curse.
Of this is 10% better than the mastering that they did on this other track, or like what you normally hear.
Yeah, it's not always a good thing though, man. Like, I mean, my daughter and I, we play this game whenever the Discover Weekly or Release Radar come out, called Hot or Hot Dog Water. And it's where we just basically listen to music and say whether or not it's hot or it's hot dog water. And she, there's a lot of songs that she'll play me that I get it. Like there's definitely like a lot of emotional value in the piece of music, but like the mix is just so bad that I just can't listen to it. So it's kind of a problem sometimes, because it's like that will initially turn me off before I can even appreciate, the writing. Yeah.
Right. Like your palate is too good. And so like you can't taste regular food anymore.
I suppose, yeah.
And sometimes you just want a little bit of both because, like, I think that, us running a blog for so long imparted kind of that hunger to find new artists and, usually not necessarily, but, usually in that realm, you're gonna have technical mistakes, but a lot of, experimentation. So we'll find smaller artists where we're just like, really excited about the sounds they're picking and the way they're doing stuff. And sometimes, the mix can be garbage, but that just takes me back to like, indie music that I loved when I was younger. And I'll go back and listen to those albums and I'm like, oh, that is horrible mastering, but it still does something for you. It's still important to you. And then other times, I just want something that's going to like break my speakers the right way so that I'm just looking for technical proficiency.
Yeah, I get it. I just learned this year for the Grammys that Song of the Year and Record of the Year are different in that way. Is that the Song of the Year is just like the songwriting, and the record is actually the production and technical stuff that would probably never occur to me, but makes a lot of sense because obviously those people deserve credit for being good at what they're doing.
For sure.
Should look into that. I'll figure out what goes on there. Speaking of discovering new artists, I'd love to talk about Magic Magic. This is my Magic hat. For anybody watching, that's how you know I'm a fan. I get the merch. It's a music collective that you guys started, which I love the idea of because I love collectives. Why did you start it? What's the vibe beyond just, because it sounds cool?
I mean, it started really just as a way for us to get our music out the door. When we first decided we were going to go down the path of creating original content and just doing this ourselves as an indie artist, we needed to come up with a name. So we picked Magic Magic and just started putting our own stuff out. But as the years went on and we made connections with other artists, and as we learned a lot more about kind of self-management and releasing independently, we wanted to turn it into something where we could empower smaller artists to have releases that would be competitive with larger artists. And so that kind of just led naturally to it becoming the collective. And we started with local artists. We're picking up new artists now from all around the country. And, really just focusing on, do they have a sound that's unique? Do they have an idea and a style? And then just giving them the tools to, a lot of times with indie releases, people just need to feel like they're not misstepping and that they, did everything they could to get it out the right way. So even just creating checklists of, what do we do to have a successful release? Here, you can just follow this exact list, and it doesn't guarantee it's going to be successful. It doesn't for us, but we can put it out knowing that we, did everything we could to make it go well. So, yeah.
That was a big one for us because we've worked with a handful of different labels in the past, and just other entities within the music industry, whether it be booking or management. And one thing that we found often is that if you're an emerging artist, it's pretty easy to have somebody kind of lock you down and then not really help you, like not just have you just being kind of like, well, you'll make them a little extra money, but they're not going to put a lot of effort into you. And so something that we thought was really important was to create a tool, that would allow an artist all of the intellectual property that we have been able to kind of put together throughout our career on the how-tos, so that they don't, we do stuff as a label as far as promotional things for releases, but at the same time, we wanted them to know exactly what goes into it so that they could do a lot of it themselves and know how to do that, whether or not they're releasing through us in the future or not. We just wanted them to have that understanding of kind of how things work for us.
There's obviously a lot of artists out there. How do you decide who's a good fit for Magic Magic? Are artists approaching you, or are you discovering them and reaching out saying, hey, we like your sound, you should join up?
It's a little. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It's a little bit of both as far as the direction of inquiry. I mean, it, there's just often lots of conversation that takes place, usually beginning in, say, like Instagram chat or something, where somebody will just ask us questions about whether it's production or release process, and then we just end up kind of striking conversation with people that just continues. We end up being friends, and then we're just like, well, hey, they'll keep sending us music, and sometimes it's just like, oh, like I'll if I get one or Benny gets one, we'll send it over to the other, just like, dude, you should really check this out, like this song is actually really good. And then we'll just ask them if they're interested.
Yeah, the relationship was a big part of it, because I mean, we come across a lot of music that we like, but it was always super important for Aaron and I to just be ourselves in this industry. And we love what we get to do, but we don't see it as anything like crazy different than any other job. It's just maybe sucks a little bit less, a lot more fun to sit here and make music. And we just wanted artists that we believed could grow and could have an image, but also kind of carried our same vibe and want to be humble and like give back to the community. So that's really what we look for. We've definitely met artists or had artists approach us with music that we like the music, but if it just wasn't a culture fit, we want people that'll sit in a Discord together and listen to each other's songs and give feedback and like root for the other artists on the label. So
yeah, I can totally relate to that. As community manager, we have a vibe, and like the people who are in there, like we've known each other for a long time. We're into kind of the same stuff, and we look for some of that in artists who we're bringing on now. What's their vibe? Are they going to get it? Are they going to want to engage with our community? Is our community going to like them? I think as people, as much as just musicians, because that's a part of it, right? And a part of what we're doing on our platform is hopefully, developing these connections between artists and their fans in that kind of a way. And so that makes sense. When I was first talking to you guys, I went to the site. I like everybody on Magic right now. Like if people go there, they can see like there's links to people. And I went through and listened to everybody who you have on the website. And it's like, oh yeah, like I like all these guys. This is a fun collective.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So you're doing a great job. How much are you involved in there in like producing for them? Or are they mostly just producing on their own and you're kind of just helping out where you can?
We definitely make ourselves available for that, some more than others. There are definitely some of the artists on there that just send us pretty much a finished product. The only thing that we tend to really try to keep cohesive is kind of the mixing and mastering. So that's something that we will always offer for them. But yeah, some of the artists will just send us a group of ideas, not even necessarily totally done. Some of the releases start out as collaborations where they'll send us something that is very unfinished, and one of us will be like, ooh, that's super cool, let's just jump on that and make it like a Bronze Whale collaboration with this person. We actually have quite a few of those coming out this year. And then during that process, sometimes they'll send us more stuff and we'll be like, well, hey, why don't we do like an EP of this? Here's a bunch of notes of things that could be adjusted, and if you send us stems, we can even help you with some of that. So
yeah, remixes have been a surprising, now that I'm actually thinking about it, I'm like, most of the artists we picked up have been after they did a remix for us. But yeah, it's like a really easy kind of trial run to see how working with that artist would be. Are they like, quick to get contracts back? Do they ask the right questions? Do they fight for what they want on a contract? We love that too. So
do they respond to emails?
Yeah. Can you get a hold of them within 24 hours for art design? But that's probably the biggest thing I see that a lot of new artists are just needing is just some promotion and release strategy, a cohesive art idea. So we'll usually help a lot of the artists with the song or album design, and then doing like 15 30-second promo clips, and just putting stuff together. And a lot of times when I'm working on that, I'll just get with that artist and show them what I'm doing, to be like, hey, like, you can get Premiere, you can get After Effects, we can do this. Like, this is not crazy hard. Um, a lot of our stuff's just held together with duct tape and dreams. So, you don't need much, just an idea and a couple YouTube videos, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, your visual stuff is pretty great. The piece you sent over for your song, like one of the guys on the team is using it as his background in Zoom meetings now. And everyone's like, "Oh man, what's that?" It's like, "Oh, it's for the Bronzeville drop." So yeah, that's really cool. That is like that next level piece that I think makes a big difference.
Oh yeah.
Hey, thanks so much.
Speaking of that, your new drop, you're releasing On Fire with us tomorrow. What's the story with the track? Where did it come from? Why did you choose it for Gala?
That song, like a lot of our songs, came from just a rough instrumental. I write lots of those, and then we'll send them over to Benny, and he will. I sent that one over actually with a, hey, this kind of has like a Glass Animals vibe to it. Like, maybe you should check this one out. And came back with a hell yeah, with lots of exclamation points. And within a day or two, a scratch vocal on it it was just obvious that was the next song that we were going to finish. It's one of our release schedule kind of works like that. Sometimes we'll have like 5 or 6 things in there, and then we'll have one that we're working on that is just the clear winner, and we'll just move everything aside and get that one done.
Which can suck if you start something new and you're like, oh, that's so good, we're not going to work on anything else, are we?
Yeah.
No, that's the one.
That's the one. And it just lined up. I mean, after talking, with you, Taco, and then and talking about working with Gala, it just, the schedules just lined up. We just put it out, and so it's just perfect timing to get it with you guys right about the same time.
That song's previewable on our beta. I don't know if you've been into the Discord. Somebody pointed out that it has a Glass Animals vibe.
Oh, really?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right.
that demo was tasty. That's one of the rare no notes. Every now and then, I think I've had like 2, maybe, like Cruising and Let's Go Walk, where Aaron was like, I think, yeah, let's move on with that one. And of course, they always have, more production to do. But every now and then I'll get that demo from Aaron where I'm like, I'm just going to sing on this. Like, this is good to go. So it felt easy, and it felt like the right song to start the year. And it also kind of touched some bases, or like, check some boxes of some things we've been wanting to play with. We've been slowly kind of deconstructing our music more and more. And this one was just super naked and didn't have many parts to it. So we were both like really excited to see where it went. And I think even Aaron felt the same way. I sent him the demo to it like that day, and he was like, yep, that's it, that's the song. So it was so easy to like get together in person, and neither of us really had a lot of opinions on each other's parts. We just wanted to kind of hone them and get them better. So it was a super cohesive one.
Yeah, it's always cool when the songs become previewable and you get that feedback, like in Discord, like, oh, that new track's up and it's fire. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a great track. Like, you can kind of get an idea of how the community's feeling about it. And that was one of them.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Oh, Drink Your OJ just said on YouTube. Oh, gotta check that. I love Glass Animals. Everybody loves Glass Animals.
Yeah, who doesn't?
That's a good comp. I like that. If anybody has any questions for the guys, feel free to pop them into YouTube or into Discord. I've got both up because I can at least do that. I can't make my camera work the right way, but I can at least check platforms for questions if anybody has any.
Like a nice soft glow.
That's all you need, right? So my camera work, I was at like a 4, but then the hat gets me up to like an 8, and so I'm doing fine. It's perfect. We're perfect.
I think I'm gonna need to get that hat.
Everybody needs this hat. What do you guys have that you're working on for this year coming up? Any tours, festivals, big fun news?
We don't have anything scheduled right now for shows. We after the whole COVID scare, we got really comfortable with just working on music, and so we have a couple of people that we've been talking to, trying to put tours together. So I mean, it's definitely coming, but
It's inevitable. At this point, I think we're just pissing our fans off.
we
It
are.
went
But
from like a "Hey, we miss you playing shows" to now just like, "Come to Denver, you assholes!" Like every every other day, someone's hitting us. I think I'm itching. Like it's gonna
it's
happen sooner
coming.
or later. We started this year and really wanted to get back to super regular releases for Bronze Whale, and then bringing on 2 new artists. We have, I think, like 14 or 16 releases before the middle of the year. So we're going to wade through that and then start working on a live concept. But it'll be, I think, a lot more fun to go into the end of the year with a lot of new music that we can play live. And we're kind of restructuring and rethinking how we want to do our live show, because it started as a DJ thing, back in the day, and then slowly added vocals, and then turned into this weird, like, 20 things on a table that we're plugging in over the last couple shows in 2019. And I think after that we turned to each other and we're like, should we just DJ again? And we're like, no. So we got to figure out somewhere in the middle. But traveling with 2 tour cases on a plane every show was not
That's pretty
it.
bad. But we also have a bunch of music. So that being said, the fact that we've been stuck in the studio, or sticking ourselves in the studio, we have a lot of new music that's going to be coming out this year. So we're really excited at that, and I guess a lot that's going to be coming out on Gala Music as well.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. You mentioned bringing on some new artists, I'm guessing, to Magic. Are you allowed to talk about who those are, or is that not a done deal yet? Do you want to shout them out?
I mean, we can mention the first one. So we have Sofa Sound, who we've been friends with for a long time and trying to line that up. But we're actually releasing an album for him in the coming months. So his first single comes out on Friday, so in 2 days, called Control, and then he'll have another single coming out with us a month after that. That's actually Aaron and him. So it'll be a Very Yes Sofa Sound collaboration, and then he's got a full LP coming out about 2 months after that. So super excited about that one. And then some of our artists that were a little quiet over the last couple of years have been coming back. Like Gastel is one of our artists, and he reached out at the beginning of the year, and he's like, well, I got like 20 songs at this point. So I'm like, everyone's kind of like dealing with their bottleneck from COVID. So we're trying to get stuff starting to come out. So
and we have a ultra rare collaboration, a Bronze Whale collaboration with another vocalist. We haven't done anything with any other vocals other than Benny for quite some time. So we just did the production on one, and she's the primary vocalist. Her name is Primo the Alien from Austin. She's amazing. She's more in the pop lane, and that should be coming out at the end of this month.
Pop is good.
Yeah, I mean, she's such a good singer.
It kind of let us play in some lanes that we don't normally with my vocals. So and she has this kind of like crazy 80s glittery flair to everything she does. So yeah, the vocal was so big that she gave us on the demo. It allowed us to be like, all right, this vocal is already doing so much for this song. How chill or like minimal can we get the song behind her and just let it really shine? So ended up with this like super sexy house track that we're really happy with, and definitely something that we wouldn't have made with my slow sad vocals all over it. So
I just popped her up. She looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, she's wild.
That's great. I would think doing collabs would be like the most fun part of being an artist, just to work with like some different, I mean, if it goes well, right, like just that different energy, just a different set of eyes on some songs.
Absolutely different processes too. Is because I mean Benny and I definitely get stuck in our ways on how we do things, and it's always refreshing to have somebody that has a very different approach to working on stuff. Sometimes, like you said, if it works out, like sometimes it doesn't always work, but
sometimes it just needs to be an internet collab.
Yeah.
If the vibes aren't right. But we definitely had some collaborations too that have just completely resuscitated songs. We've had stuff like we had one with Charlie Crown that he had started a demo and he gave it to us, and we were just like banging our heads against the wall for months trying to figure it out. And we had this song that was so good, and it was like melodically it was really good and the vocals worked, but the chorus just sucked. And finally Charlie was like, would you just send it to me? Like, I've been waiting for my turn for like 6 months. And we're like, yeah. And we sent him, and like the next day he sends us this like super kind of chopped up Diplo-y chorus, and we're like, that's the chorus
needed.
Like, now we like the song, thank you. So, yeah, it's awesome to have more heads on stuff. I always enjoy having other people in the studio, and honestly just letting collaborations happen naturally where we'll work, especially when Aaron was still in Austin with some of our label producers, and just let them be in the studio. And it's like, if you hear the right thing, you can be on the song. We're not gatekeeping anything. And so especially our friend Austin, who goes by Poles, would just be in a room and be like, get up, and he'd sit down and write something, and you're like, yep, you're on the song, there it is. So that's how a lot of ours usually begin.
Yeah, a lot of Miller High Life hangouts turn into collaborations.
Like
never did get that sponsorship.
We'll keep talking about it. I was just in Puerto Rico last weekend, hanging out with some reggaeton artists and producers, and it was that exact vibe. It's like a couple of producers, like a couple of artists, and like they'll start, the producer just like playing beats and doing stuff, and one of the artists just be like, oh yep, that's the beat, like work on that, and then I want to drop a thing, and another artist will be like, yeah, I like that too, I'm gonna pitch it on a thing, and then scrap it and then start over with a whole new song. And so super collaborative, and that's such a great vibe.
A lot of people would think too, with multiple people on a song that you would, have a lot of different ideas. But something else that I notice occurs is having more people really diminishes ego and takes your need to make sure like your part's just right, or, don't change that, I wrote it. When we're working with multiple artists, I'm like, whatever, I'll throw out 2 or 3 parts and then give it to the next person. So it really helps move things along, because I think that's something we see more and more in new artists that we work with, is just trying to like drag that song across the line with them, because they're so, they're 6 months in, they're like, if I just change the synth, and I'm like, that synth's not going to land you on Billboard, like that wasn't the defining thing in the song, like let's just put out the fucking song. So and then you realize you get it out and you're like, oh, now I'm freed up to write something new. And that's really what we push for, is like, get it good, be happy with it, get it out, move on to the next song.
Right. I think that's pretty great advice. J Mart asks, are there any collabs between Gala music artists in the works? Anyone Bronze Whale would want to work with specifically? I don't know if you know the range of artists who are on the platform already. That might be too tough of a question.
I mean, I've looked over some of them, and yeah, I mean, we are always open to listen to demos or send demos, back and forth. And, Taco, if you can land that Snoop Dogg collab, like, let's go.
I mean, y'all have got a bunch of interesting artists on there, and that's the thing too, is, with what we do, having elements of, rap and R&B and, just straight up like trap and bass music in our stuff. It really leaves us open to collaborate in a lot of like interesting ways, where we can maybe take something from a producer that makes a lot heavier music than us, but we take those elements and then slow it down, and I write a vocal that's a lot slower, and we found that we can pull other artists in our direction. So yeah, we're always super open, and I hope from the relationship that we're forming with y'all that some of that opens up. So
I love that stuff. We play that game all the time, where there's Gala artists who you can just picture in your head, like they'd sound good together. And so I love the idea of different, Gala artists doing different collab stuff. It's all super cool.
Super down.
Ill-Minded wants to know, what would your dream venue be to play at?
Oh man, we've played so many. I think my favorite was a pool stage that was like two big pools with a catwalk going down the middle of it, right underneath Mount Hood, when we were in Oregon. Um, Outdoor, I love playing camping festivals. Those are super duper fun. I mean, I'm all for indoor, but you know, as we were talking about earlier, it's just got to sound good. If the sound is bad, then I'm just turned off immediately.
I mean,
guess
corny answer, but I always wanted to play Red Rocks. So
That would be sick.
it's such a cool venue. So that one's definitely up there for me. And then outside of that, all the venues that I love are just stuff that I don't think we fit in. Like I just want to be in, dirty bass caves in like Bristol. So I'm like, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have us play, but that's like the venues I love. So I'm always in there and I'm like, I could do this. And I'm like, they would tell me to get off in 10 seconds. Crooning some slow music.
Red Rocks would be amazing. I've never been, but it's such a cool venue where my family is all going out to Colorado for vacation this summer. And the first thing my wife looked at was like, oh, are there any shows like around the time we're there? And it's like the one weekend there isn't anything going on.
Oh no.
It's so worth getting out there though, just as a space. We went out there during the day on our first trip out to Denver, and just what they've built is so wild. Just walking up it and staring out, and it kind of, to Aaron's point, it's that perfect blend of just outdoor, but unlike an amphitheater where it's just metal scaffolding, it feels so natural.
Mhm.
So cool.
Valerie Ann, who's our resident music artist, asked if you have any kids' music in your future.
I mean, I haven't thought of that really. I think the closest that I thought of anything like, that maybe like a lo-fi Christmas hip hop.
Dig deep, Aaron. I mean, some people have told us that like our music can make kids. But, I don't know that we've ever actually explored making kids. We don't curse a lot in the music, so
It's true, we don't.
But with all
Well,
this AI stuff, we've definitely talked about like children's books. So maybe it's time.
Yeah, the AI, you don't just push the button now and the books write themselves, right?
Pretty much.
Excellent. I think we've covered a decent amount of stuff. Is there anything you want the community to know about Bronze Whale that we didn't tell them already?
I mean, not really. I think we covered pretty much the gamut. I mean, we are super excited, to be joining the Gala community. We've been, following for a while what's going on with Web3 and all that, and are definitely wanting to be more involved. So I think this is a first step for us, to have a long relationship, and we're super pumped for it.
I'm also super pumped for it. I'm a fan, so I'm happy to have you guys on board. I think this was great, and you guys will pop in. Like I saw you're in Discord. Like and subscribe if you're watching this. Paul just messaged me. Paul, the producer in my ear, just messaged to remind people to like and subscribe to this feed, because apparently that's how I'm going to start getting paid now, is by YouTube subscriptions. So I have to care about
Adds
it.
up.
So On Fire is on sale tomorrow, Thursday, on Gala. It's great. You can preview it on the beta site. And I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us.
Thank you
for tuning in. This was great. I'm excited.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.